This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. The PM extends his plan to resurrect Sihanoukville. Another dead body is discovered stuffed in a suitcase, but this time in a hotel room. And a couple are nicked for stealing millions of dollars from thousands of investors. But firstly, to our headline story. The Prime Minister has widened his plans for reviving Sihanoukville to cover all coastal provinces. Now, at current, we all know that Sihanoukville is blighted with ghost buildings, and the PM has made it very clear he is willing to do a deal with any developers who can take on these unfinished buildings. But his plans for the coast now go a lot further, as 3 more coastal provinces have been named for development. They are Koh Kong, Kampot and Kep. And to give you an example used by the government themselves to explain what the intention is here, the government have said that they are to follow the model laid out by Shenzhen in China. For Shenzhen was once a sleepy fishing village, but it is now an industrial powerhouse. And it is home to a staggering 12.5 million people. It is anticipated that Sihanoukville's population is also expected to soar to over 1 million in the next couple of decades, as foreign investors take advantage of cheap labour and improved freight networks. So, if you think that Sihanoukville is busy right now, just give it a few years and you will see a town that has tripled in both size and population. And all of this is to feed a bigger aim, and that is to boost Cambodia's economy, aligning with its goal to become a high-income country by 2050. Cambodia is quite simply stepping out of the economic shadows, with its recent growth rate at an incredible 6.1%. It seems nothing can hold back this Asian tiger economy. On this week's Crime Desk, the cop who detained a woman illegally has now been suspended, yet another body in a suitcase has been discovered, and traffic accidents kill more than ever before. Now, do you remember the story last week of a woman who was suing the traffic police for $100,000? As she said, she was locked up for 20+ hours for absolutely no reason. Well, it seems that those investigating the case are agreeing with her claim that she was illegally detained, as a traffic police chief has now been suspended, and he is a cop with a lot of seniority. For he is in fact Lieutenant Colonel De Mayo, the director of Phnom Penh Traffic Police, who has been sued for illegal detention and now has been suspended from duty. The Chief of Staff at the Phnom Penh Police said this week that they have completed the investigation against Colonel Mayo and other officers involved in this incident, and they have decided at current to suspend him from duty. They also added that the Phnom Penh police are now negotiating with the complainant and her lawyers for an out-of-court settlement to address her claim for the $100,000 compensation. Now, this all came about as the victim was involved in a road traffic accident. And at the police station, the accused officer refused to accept that she was in fact the victim. Instead, She says that he locked her up for absolutely no reason and left her there for 20 hours in what she says is an incredible abuse of power. The police released her only after her brothers requested an immediate intervention from the Phnom Penh Municipal Police Chief. The court case goes on, but it seems the complainant has a very strong case against a senior officer who should have known an awful lot better. Now to what is quite simply horrifying and oddly not unusual, and that is there has been yet another body found stuffed in a suitcase. What is the usual pattern with these stories, I have learnt, is a murder takes place and then, for some odd reason, the perpetrators, instead of digging a nice deep hole in the woods and hiding the body, they decide it would be better to dismember the corpse, which, by the way, on its own is horrific enough. Trust me, cutting up a human body is not easy. It's all gristle and muscle, don't you know? Well, anyway, after the dismemberment, many murderers like to stuff the body parts into a suitcase and then dump that suitcase by the side of the road, where quite obviously someone will discover it. Now, on this occasion, the plan only got as far as putting the body in the suitcase and not to the next step of transporting that body. And that is shown in this photo on your screen now. What you can see highlighted within the red circle is the very suitcase that has the body stuffed in it. It in fact holds the body of a Taiwanese man who had been abducted and was being held hostage for ransom of $40,000. Now, due to complications with the victim's family, the kidnappers ended up shooting their hostage dead. Somehow the police got wind of this unimaginable crime and they raided the hotel room in Phnom Penh to discover a foreign national with the corpse that had been stuffed into that said suitcase. And to add a final twist into this very morbid tale, it turned out that the murderer was in fact the victim's cousin. Okay, now let us have a look at these two. Oh, what a lovely couple they are, by the seaside having a grand day out without a care in the world. But here is the thing. That day out was not paid with the cash earned in a decent and honest way, but by executing a scam that led them to have their next photo taken in a slightly different setting, with placards around their necks telling of their crimes. What they have been arrested for is yet another Ponzi scheme, and these scams are becoming more and more common, and believe me, there is literally hundreds of millions of dollars being stolen. And this one is already being quoted as a fraud that runs into the multi-millions. And the victim list is not a few hundred people, but thousands of people. The two suspects were arrested on a warrant for financial fraud. And as always, the con is very simple. They would offer investors absurdly high interest rates, and people gave them millions of dollars. They then would pay the interest to older investors with the money given to them by newer investors. And it really is an idiot's crime. As of course, sooner or later, the Tower of Lies must fall, and the only place you can go is jail. But these two greedy idiots thought that they somehow could defy the inevitable laws of maths And all that happened is they destroyed lives, and their stupidity led them directly to the door of a courthouse and a guaranteed spell in jail. To tie up our crime desk this week, the most criminal thing that I see in the kingdom more than anything else, without any shadow of a doubt, and that is the illegal and appalling driving habits of some motorists. The sole cause of this never-ending torrent of deaths and accidents can be summed up with one word: selfishness. And now Facebook pages devoted to calling out the nation's bad drivers, like this one here, called Traffic Cambodia, that has been set up by Khmers who are fed up to the back teeth with drivers parking wherever they want, pulling out at junctions whenever they want, and doing what the hell they please due to their complete and utter disregard, not only for the law, but also their fellow citizens. And now, the voice of the ministry is also being heard, as police are being told to enforce the law, as yet again road accidents have surged. Now, these numbers I shall quote you are only for workers being transported. They are not for all accidents, just workers. And the tale they tell is frightening. In the first quarter of this year, there were 913 traffic accidents with over 1,000 victims, of whom 39 died. Compared to the first quarter of last year, that is an incredible increase of 38%. And what is causing this rise in deaths is the fact that the drivers of workers are woefully untrained, usually young men with no license, and, of course, the workers themselves are packed into trucks with little or no safety features. And both of these add up to a very potent cocktail that oh so often ends with innocent people dying. It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week.
And here we are at the weather. Now, the first thing worthy of note is, my bally goodness, hasn't it been hot? It hit 39 degrees, but unfortunately it didn't hit 40, because there's always a nice thing to boast to your relatives, you see, who are far away, saying it's 40 degrees here. I'm so brave because it's so hot. But the truth is, I don't feel it anymore. I've stopped alcohol, I've stopped smoking, and I'm actually physically fit. And when you do those three, believe me, the heat just bounces off you. It's great. Something worthy of note here on the old chart is, look in the bottom left-hand corner, right? Google has now added words like excessive heat. Yeah, well done, Google. Have another degree in stating the bleeding obvious. So what we can see, let's have a look. The highs next week are looking to reach 38, probably 39. Humidity is still nudging up to the mid-40s, could go higher, but rain is not that far away. Trust me.
This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly Roundup.